All right, Art One, good morning. We are going to draw an eye today together. So I've already given you essentially the contour outline. What we're focusing on now is adding in the value. So I'm going to start with the most important part, which is the center of the eye. With my yellow regular pencil, one of the first things that I do is mark out where my lightest area is going to be. So this is this highlight right here. Then I have a little highlight over here, and the rest is fairly dark. I'm actually going to start with my 6B after that, and I'm going to fill in my darkest areas. So like the center of the eye. Notice how my striking distance is fairly short. I want to show control. After I move one direction, I'm going to go on top in the other direction. Short striking distances to make it nice and smooth and controlled, building up tiny muscles in your hands and fingers. Now the next area that I see that's really dark, 6B dark, is the top part of the pupil right here, and then this ring along the outside. So I'm going to start filling that in. I'm going to turn to make it a little easier for me. Now I'm going to go back on top, cross hatch. Alrighty. Next thing I notice it's fairly dark is we have these stripes within the pupil. I'm going to start adding those in. There seems to be a little bit darker area up here. Bless you. Alrighty, next thing I'm going to pick up is my 4B pencil, 4B. So I'm adding in some mid layers of value, which is all very much part of this top part of the cornea, or the pupil, in this area right here. I'm not pushing very hard. I'm using actually the side of my pencil, not the tip, but the side. And then you guessed it, cross-hatching. Alrighty, I'm gonna deem this part A-okay and ready to move on. The next portion I'm gonna work on is this side of the eye. So again, I'm gonna pick up my yellow pencil. What I like to circle is the areas that I'm gonna keep bright, sparkling white. Everything else will get filled in with color. Let's leave this area bright, sparkling white. I'm gonna pick up my 4B pencil. This area that I'm working on right now is called your tear duct. I want you to notice that I'm not using my finger to smear this, because that actually leaves it very, very messy looking, and it takes away a ton of your hard work. Now to increase the shading, I'm using the point of my 4B. Alrighty, I'm gonna put my 4B down. I'm gonna pick up my 2B pencil because I see a lot of shadow here and along this edge here. So I'm gonna start filling that in. I'm gonna use the side of my 2B pencil to sort of soften it, give it some light shadow. Still using, you guessed it, cross hatching. I'm gonna turn. All right, I'm picking up my 4B pencil again. I want to intensify some of the shadow up here. I'm not pushing very hard, really light pressure. One direction, then the other. Nice and soft. Same thing over here, nice and soft. I see some details with the veins. I'm gonna be a little bit extra and add those in. Okay. Now I'm gonna move to this side of the eye. I'm actually gonna pick up my 2B pencil. Boop, boop, boop. All right, so this right here is the rim of the eye. So here is that highlight right there. I'm gonna darken the rim. Okay. Pick up my 4B pencil. Gonna increase some of the shadow right here. direction than the other. Again, soft pressure. I'm noticing there is some slight shadow here to help blend out that pupil. Okay. Notice I still haven't used my finger at all. I'm going to keep my 4B pencil. I'm going to do a little bit of shadow around the tear duct and under the eye. So I'm looking at my reference photo to see where I have shadows. Get my 6B pencil to increase some of the shadow in here. Okay, back to my 4B. I'm going to shade this part of the eye right here. Okay, now the most important part is the last part, which are the eyelashes. I wait till I've shaded everything to move on to the eyelashes. When I do eyelashes, I like to use a 2B pencil, and I want it to be crazy sharp. So even a little bit sharper than this, super duper sharp. Now, remember when we did that flicking motion, when we learned how to do hair? We're gonna need that. I also want you to notice how our eyelashes curve. Sometimes we have this tendency to have them straight like this, like they're sun rays, but we don't like that. We want them to curve, almost like a little sun, okay? So I'm gonna take my 2B pencil, my eyelashes at the top. I don't want them coming out of my eye. That'd be no. You don't want eyelashes growing out of your eye. You want them growing out of your actual eyelid. So curve, curve. And then see how on this side, we can barely see them, but they're actually going downward. You want to have that happen as well. Now, is that done? No way. The way that I like to do my eyelashes, they tend to clump together because they actually hold onto oils from our skin. So see how I clump them into almost what looks like triangles? Okay, now I'm gonna pick up my 6B pencil. I wanna go super dark. I'm gonna sharpen it so it's super sharp, and I'm gonna add. See how that's already creating a lot of depth because we have the different shades? Okay, now I gotta do the bottom. They're a little bit few and far between. I'm gonna take my sharpener, I'm gonna sharpen again so it's nice and pointy. And I do not want them coming out of the eye, that's a no. You want them coming out of the edge of the rim, so right about here. See how I kind of clump them together almost like they're triangles? Ta-da! Now you've done an eye. What I want you to have learned from this, number one, how to do lashes. That's a big one that I see comes up in a lot of people's drawings. But also using all your different pencils and filling in as much gray as possible. The areas that are left totally bright white are few and far between. You want to get tons of gray on that paper. All right, good job, Art One.